Hi guys, this is a Bitcoin technical analysis update for 18th of May, Wednesday, 2022. Hope everyone's doing great. So let's have a quick look at the halving cycle here. First of all, roughly 700 days away, where we are very clearly at a time in the halving cycle where Bitcoin tends to trend down / sideways, right? Which is basically what it's doing right now. We're in the yellow zone. We're not quite in that sweet spot where statistically, based on the halving cycles, you can really call it a secure low. Sure, the 200-week moving average, I mean, obviously this line is going to break. It's quite clear to me. How else do you shake out long-term holders who have a cost basis, I'm guessing somewhere around 14,500, because the long-term cost basis based on Glassnode, I'm not really too sure how accurate that data is, by the way. Short-term holders have been capitulating the last week or so, that's quite clear, but how do you shake out long-term holders off this market, you know, who have purchased Bitcoin, let's say sub 10k the last 3 or 4 years? You have to get to that level at 14,500. So whilst short-term, you know, this line is going to provide some support, this market is 100% going to go lower. There's no doubt about that. The count that we have is some kind of, you know, short-term ABC correction. Is it really worth playing this? This is such a dangerous knife to catch. And the move is done effectively. The move was, you know, to buy here and sell there, basically. So we kind of, you know, spoke about a move in the group where some kind of capitulation low is going to go on. Sure, is it an inverted head and shoulders? Possibly there's something like that going on. Ultimately, you know, that could be an A, that could be a B, some kind of consolidation triangle, one more move up in a C. There is a futures gap here at 35,000. I think at best you're looking at 35,000. The problem is, if everyone's looking at this the same way, it might just crash here and come back down again. So I think it's very risky to dollar cost average in long-term investment at this price. Ultimately, all we're doing is retesting the Wyckoff accumulations, the Wyckoff distribution zone, which is very, very typical. You know, you don't jump the creek, you break the ice. So we've spoken about this line breaking. So we've, you know, effectively been short since 47k. So all we're going to do right now is retest 35k, but you know, I don't even see Bitcoin going as high as this line here. There's just too much supply in the market. You know, 18th of July, maybe we end up staying here, I don't know, until here, then come back down. So this is a bit of a waste of time right now. You know, there's a time to be long, there's a time to be short, there's a time to be fishing. The move is done. The catching the knife trade is done. This is a time to be fishing right now. There's no point even looking at this really. It's definitely going to go lower. 14k is definitely going to get taken out. 100% probability that that occurs in the next couple of years or so. Now, let's quickly go over the Nasdaq. Obviously, that there's a long correlation here. Nasdaq, you know, it might very well do a back test of 12.5, 13,000. You know, there's various interpretations here. Worst case scenario, that's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down, and this is the 1, 2 off the third, right? So it's just doing a 1, 2, 1, 2. That gets you to, you know, 12,500. Wouldn't be surprised if something like that goes on in the Nasdaq. Let's just pop back onto it. Other interpretation is a completed ABC pattern has now formed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A. A, B, C, B. Now C. So this leg is complete. So now we're going to do another kind of correction into here, which kind of gets you a little bit higher. Maybe to, let's say, 13,000, then that becomes like a B leg, then we end up falling back down, right? So this Nasdaq is definitely going to fall back down again. We are by no means bottoming out here. I don't believe that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I also don't believe, I mean, not anymore. There was a chance back in maybe February that the 4 was in here. There was a possibility of a new move, but not anymore. Too much damage has been done. You know, that can't be the count. There's just too much overlap. This is definitely a 3, 4, 5 into here, and it's topped, and it's topped ages ago. And basically, this is the start of a multi-year downtrend, right? So the big buy isn't quite here yet. I can't share exactly how low I think it's going to go, but you'll have to join the group for that. But just put it this way, this is not quite done. Some kind of correction move here, 1, 2, 1, 2, either some kind of A, B, C, B leg. Ultimately, there's one more big panic crash down this year. Almost certain of that. Once that move is done, then we're talking. Then we're talking bargain prices here on the Nasdaq and potentially on Bitcoin too. So let's just recap then. The highs are in for the year. There's no triangle going on. There's no flat pattern going on probably. Short term, there's probably a move to 35k. Is it worth playing that move for most people over summer? I don't think so. It's probably going to end up falling away and coming back down again. None of the altcoins look good and they all have much lower to go. I mean, XRP is going to go to 6 cents. So that'll be the next video. You know, at 6 cents, everyone's going to be all in. So, you know, you have to shake people out of this market. There was the possibility of an inside candle failure, but it's got a very high negative failure rate. When it doesn't work, it creates a even higher probability move in the opposite direction. Just like when Head and Shoulders failed to break down, carries a very high move, high probability move and strong move in the opposite direction. Works more with Head and Shoulders as opposed to inverted Head and Shoulders, because the shorts are trapped. First target is the peak of the right shoulder followed by the peak of the head. This is definitely going to go to 6 cents. That's a large ABC correction. There's no other alternative now. You know, there's no other alternate count now, right? Because Bitcoin looks so bad and Bitcoin runs this market. You know, I can't mention the name because that would be unfair, but apparently there's no correlation with XRP and Bitcoin. That was something that I had overheard. I'm not quite sure that that is correct, because it's very clear to me there's extremely high correlation between the two. And generally between altcoins and Bitcoin, if Bitcoin is going to trend down, so are the altcoins. So yes, there might have been circumstances where there's lack of correlation, but generally speaking, they are correlated. And XRP is falling away. You know, at 6 cents, that's going to be all in. I can imagine most people would have capitulated by then. So is there anything else to have a look at here? Let's quickly finish off by the dollar index. I mean, it's forming a shakeout pattern here. It's failing here and forming a bit of a trap. You know, that doesn't really seem like the end of the move. For the dollar to come all the way back down again seems a bit unlikely. Sure, there's a bit of profit taking. There's a, you know, Bitcoin's getting a bit of a bid and it's an obvious target. But you know, how low can this really fall? I mean, you know, I'm seeing nothing here really. I mean, to me, I don't even think it falls back as here. I mean, I suppose if it ever gets below 100, everyone's going to start buying it again. So I can't even see it falling down towards 99. But if the ES and Bitcoin and the Nasdaq have a little bit higher to go in this bear market rally that they're in, then yes, fine. I can see a situation where the dollar pulls back a little bit more than it is doing. You know, bit of a bear market rally going on here. I mean, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly 6 weeks down. You only get that in a bear market. It's very clearly not in a bull market. Like I said, similar to the Nasdaq, could be an ABC interpretation there, but that's just one part of the move. I don't think we're going to go to all-time new highs from this moment. It's definitely going to go lower. So some kind of maybe a 1-2-1-2, which case we have to retrace about 50 to 68%. So how high can this short squeeze get us to? I mean, nothing in this 2022 market has surprised me really, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if this short squeeze lasts a little bit longer. But it is a short squeeze. It's responsive trading, right? A bear market is under retail money, weak-handed control. Smart money does not operate as such in a bear market. They might aggressively short it. There's various institutions and algos who do that, but generally smart money is involved in a bull market. Bear markets are simply corrections to the bull market. We're not quite at a time where smart money are going to jump in. There's no way that they've bought this low at 3,800. This market has got lower to go. Next target is going to be 35, and let's be honest, we're going to break 3k eventually. That's quite clear to me. Okay, I'll share the targets for the downside in later videos. So if this short squeeze continues higher, you know, why not? We get to 43, 4,400. It's just another excuse for people who are aggressively shorting this market to short it again. Basically, all you're doing is giving people a better opportunity to short this market. If it is a 1-2-1-2, if it's an ABC as part of a larger A, right, then we can do something like this. But either way, it still gets you to the same level, right? Once again, the 50 is right there, and maybe the 61.8. So you could probably take this box. There's quite a large zone there, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. You know, all that the market is doing now is window dressing for long-term investors' portfolio, so the Q2 drawdown doesn't look so bad, right? Because obviously Q2 started here, right? So right at the lows, that doesn't look very good, right? You don't want to tell your investor who you're charging 20 and you're charging quite a lot of fees there, right? 2 and 20 or 5 and 20 or 10 and 20% here. You're charging people a lot of fees here. You don't want to show them that you're down 16%. Doesn't look very good. How do you get them not to run away with their money? You show them that they're only down 8%, and then as soon as we start Q3, knock it back down again. There's one more big crash coming here in these stock markets, in these markets later on this year. It's just a matter of when. It's very, very risky here to be dollar cost averaging anything here. Anyway, let's get back onto Bitcoin. So, is there any further analysis needed here? I don't think so. It's a weak rally, it's a short squeeze, it's a bear market rally. I don't even think you'll get 35,000. You'll be lucky to fill that futures gap. There's a lot of gaps down here which are definitely going to get filled, and this market is definitely going to go lower. It's just a matter of when. And really, that is just the trend. Unfortunately, the trend is very clearly down. Maybe the short-term holders have capitulated now, but long-term holders, they're not going to capitulate until the average cost basis, which is at 14,500, give or take. Last time I checked, it was at 14.1, but that was 2 months ago. So maybe it's increased, because long-term holders like to dollar cost average over time. They would definitely have been adding to their positions here, so this might have increased. So how do you shake out long-term holders? Clearly, the price has to go below that. Has to. I'm not saying it's going to go down 3k. Let me say that right away. I don't think it will go all the way down to here. That would take an unbelievably phenomenal crash on the Nasdaq for that to happen. I mean, Apple would have to go well below 100 for that to happen. I don't see Bitcoin breaking 4k here. I don't see it going that low, but you guys can have a look at my last YouTube video with the target there. It's very clearly on the channel. But it's definitely going to break 14.5k. So let's take a quick look at Ethereum. I mean, obviously everything's going to go down, isn't it? So, I mean, there you go. You can see the target that I'm looking for there. So, there's nothing difficult there. That's taken me 1 second there to pull out a target. It's very clearly everyone's looking for the same target I am. That would be first target. Let's just take that target off. It's definitely going to get down to here. It doesn't look very good. And worst case scenario is a 1, 2, 1, and now another 2. So, or it's an ABC. It doesn't matter. Either it's a 1, 2, 1, 2 everywhere, or it's an ABC and it's a B leg and a C leg. The point is, S&P, Nasdaq, Bitcoin, altcoins especially, they have another big dump down. That's what I'm trying to say. There is one more catastrophic collapse here that's coming. I don't know when, obviously. It could be the week before the US midterms, or it could be here next week. I don't know when. I've got my ideas, and I'm sharing those ideas, obviously, twice a week with the group. But the whole point of this YouTube video is just to alert people. My opinion is, looking at these charts for many, many years now, there's another big collapse down. What's that next dump? I don't want to say final dump, because there's an alternate interpretation which is that there's another dump after that. But let's just forget about that alternate count. Let's not even go there. Once this next dump is over, which may or may not be the quote-unquote final dump, that will then provide very good long-term buying opportunities. And that is just the unfortunate way that these markets move, especially the altcoins, right? I understand it's down, 57%, but guess what? It can, from this point, it can collapse another 57%. So effectively, we're only halfway down in this collapse, and it's going to go lower. So XRP going to go 6 cents and Litecoin $22. Anyway, so I think we're done here. 15 minutes. Anyway, if you guys like what we're doing, please do share, like, and subscribe. Join the group if you want to. There's various courses on there on mortgage amortization and how to read a chart, basically, which is very, very important if you are going into a long extended bull market. How do you extract money from this market? Well, obviously we discuss all of those strategies on there, and you guys can have a look. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next video.